Yeah, look, I'm in a man today, and not just any old man, a super duper luxury executive one. I mean, look, I've got a fridge. Don't think it's on though, it's very cold. Can of Coke though if you want it. Built-in truck sat-nav that failed at the very last moment, I needed it. And yeah, it's very quiet, lots of lovely buttons. Yeah, barely hear the engine. Not much in the way of road noise or tyre roar, and not a huge amount of wind roar either. It's very, very snazzy. Doing a double-deck curtain-sider trunk work tonight. I'm currently parked up in Liverpool. And yes, let's get on with the video, shall we? Hello and welcome. Yes, forgot to mention the lovely curtains, very posh curtains as well, which is a new one. Yes, very, very posh truck. Anyway, on to today's video. I was going to call it top tips, but it's not necessarily top tips, but it's certainly 10 tips I've learnt or I think is useful if you're about to become a truck driver full-time. So, number 1. If you want to learn to manoeuvre or reverse a truck in a very, very tight space, then one of your best places to work in the early days is probably a supermarket chain. I say this because I have done it. I know what the loading bays are like, incredibly tight, small, impossible to move in. I haven't come across anything like that anywhere else since I've been driving. So yeah, if you really want to learn how to reverse a truck, supermarket work is probably something you should consider doing for a few months, years maybe. I wouldn't personally consider it long-term work, although you can if you wish. But yeah, that's learning to manoeuvre in a tight space. Number 2. As a new driver, be prepared to put up with any old rubbish work that you can get hold of, especially within the first 2 years of getting your license, because you don't have enough experience. And you'll find that every company you phone up for, especially the decent ones or the popular ones, they will not even begin to entertain the idea of hiring you. The only place that you're going to get work or job is some dodgy company or someone that can't retain drivers, or a place that's just so desperate for any old person they will hire you. So yes, something to bear in mind. You probably won't like the work you're doing. I was quite lucky, I think, in how I got my work. The first one, the carpet deliveries, multi-drop, incredibly hard work. A lot of stuff to work out in the early days, and it was very tiring and hard, but we eventually got there and got used to it, and then moved on to easier stuff. Number 3. Okay, probably one you wouldn't have thought of, but something I did have trouble with when I moved over finally from rigid to Arctics, and that is try to time getting your license so that you get it in about March, April time. That's so when you're learning to drive the truck and figuring out the length and dynamics and calibrating your brain basically to the size of your truck, you have all this wonderful summer's daylight and you can see everything in the mirrors and whatnot. I unfortunately had the pleasure of going over from rigids to Arctics in November, and I did find it very, very difficult trying to work out what my trailer was doing back there, because in the darkness your trailer doesn't really exist, apart from every now and then when you go around a corner you just see the little string of lights along the side, and that's about it. But that's not really very helpful when you're a newbie. And so yes, did on a couple of occasions have a couple of problems in the odd loading bay here and there. So yes, try to learn to drive trucks in the summer. It helps immensely. Number 4. Not necessarily a tip, more of a warning, especially if you're the impatient type. Get used to sitting around and waiting. Waiting to get in somewhere, waiting to get loaded, waiting to get unloaded, waiting for a job, waiting to get on a ferry if you're doing that sort of thing, waiting in traffic, waiting, sitting around, doing not much. You probably spend as much time actually driving as you do sitting around waiting. Yes, the amount of efficiency savings that could be made if you didn't wait. Because you are getting paid whilst waiting. And it's costing the company money, or the customer money, it's costing someone money somewhere. For all this waiting around. Yeah, it's a fact of life in this industry, I'm afraid. Get used to it. Number 5. Try and work out what type of work you want to do, because truck driving is not just driving a truck. There's all sorts of different types. Rigids, Arctics, days, nights, sleeper cabbing, Euro tramping, curtain siders, reefer work, supermarket work, multi-drop, trunking, what I've been doing quite a lot recently. Not my particular thing, nor is nights, but I seem to be stuck on both of them, unfortunately. But yes, that's the nature of agency work, which I have discovered is my preferred method of truck driving. I quite like it. Lots of variety, lots of different companies, quite a lot of not having any idea what you're doing quite a lot of the time, as is tonight, because it's a new company that I've never worked for before and a place that I've never been to, so I've got no idea what I'm doing, and I quite like that. Some people like routine. That's what one guy told me who was working at the old parcel lot, because it's the exact same thing every night, same start time, same truck, same roads, same destination, not much to it. It's up to you. What do you want to do? There's many different options. Number 6. Yes, fairly simple. Keep a log of what you've done. You've seen it several times before. My little notebook that has everything I've written in it, my hours, days. It's not as in-depth as most people's, but I might change that, since the other day I finally got to the last page and it's filled up. There's no more room left. See, it's empty, it's empty. So yes, keep a log. Why? Because unfortunately in this day and age there's this culture of blame, and it's always someone's fault, and this and that and the other, someone's to blame, and there's a lot of arse covering involved, backside covering, and trying to fend everyone off, because 99% of the time anything that goes wrong, it's always the truck driver's fault, even if it isn't. It's unfortunately a fact of life. It's very annoying. So to prevent yourself from being accused accidentally, keep a log. Then if anyone does, you can look through your little logbook and go, nope, wasn't me, got the wrong guy. Or, yeah, it was me, but not doing that job, or not in that way, whatnot, and something. So yes, it can be very useful. It is, yes, an unfortunate fact of life. We always get the blame. I wish it wasn't, but it is. Number 7. Be prepared to work very long hours, especially compared to nearly every other job out there. You will work an incredible amount of hours, and potentially for very low pay. Euro tramping is a particularly bad offender for that. Yes, I probably didn't work for the best company, S&K, because old Kidby would use any old excuse possible to not pay you. and the amount of hours you've done, easily 13, 15 hour days every single day of the week, 5-6 days a week as maximum that the law would get, he would get out of you, and would try not to pay you any way possible. I think 1 week I worked it out and it came back at £6.20 an hour before tax, and after that even less. Yeah, that was the final straw, and I decided that was enough of that, and so I said, can I go back? And then I walked out of that job and got another one. Obviously some jobs pay better than others. I've heard people at Maritime managed to quite happily get £600 odd a week after tax, so that's a very handsome sum indeed, and they get very nice trucks. No doubt they do long hours, and I've certainly heard that they do split breaks at Maritime. So yes, long hours indeed, very weird hours. You could be working any hour of the day, unlike any other job which usually has fixed hours, no more than about 8-9 hours a day, same start time, same place, all nice and easy and comfortable, not in a truck. Number 8, a very simple one this one. Goal: get out and look. Everybody says it. Don't be ashamed to go, I've got no idea what this truck is doing, I need to get and have a look what's going on back there. I do it multiple times sometimes, especially on a tricky reverse. Blindside reverses, pretty much reverse 2 feet, get out and look, reverse 2 feet, get out and look, reverse 2 feet, get out and look, until I can start to straighten up and finally see what I'm doing in the mirror, especially when it's something like this that doesn't have a rear window. Even if, like, sometimes you have to back into places where it's a wall or something behind you and you don't want to hit it, and as I've said before, you don't really have depth perception in the mirrors, so it's always worth getting out, having a look, checking that you're not going to hit something, taking those few extra seconds just to have a look saves yourself so much effort later on when you have to fill out a load of paperwork because you've hit something and damaged something that you shouldn't have. So just get out. It's so easy. Why did you not do it? Number 9. Again, yes, rather a warning more than a tip, and that is, be prepared for rejection a lot, especially in the early days. You will apply to job after job after job and just be told, no, we don't need you, we're not looking for you, need more experience, you need to be older, this, that and the other. It can be a bit demoralising, a bit not very nice, putting off whatever. I mean, I myself, I got my rigid license and then started phoning up companies from then, and that was probably 3-4 companies a week for 2 months, getting told, no, we don't need you, not enough experience, we're not looking for someone of your type, this, that and the other, until I eventually found the carpet lot who were so desperate for someone they eventually hired me, because even on the first phone call to them they told me no, phone back in a couple of weeks, and then when I did phone them back in a couple of weeks they finally said yes. So they weren't too happy about saying yes, but they had no other choice. So they wanted to say no, they didn't have a choice though. So yeah, get used to working massively hard trying to find a job in the early days. It's not easy. Number 10. It might sound simple, but it is actually quite important, I think. As I've already shown you, this truck has a sat-nav in it. And perfect example actually, the guy programmed in it, who showed me around the truck and everything, he programmed in the route to get here. I knew the route to get up the M6. All I really needed this for was directing me for the last little bit, and what do you know, right at the very last moment it loses signal and goes completely to pot. So, if you can, try and learn to navigate without the use of a sat-nav. As we've all seen in the newspapers, trucks getting stuck down inappropriate roads, one-way streets the wrong way, stupidly tight corners, all sorts of weird and wonderful stuff. They've even just said in the news last week they're thinking of bringing in a law making it illegal to use a car sat-nav in a truck because of the problems I've just mentioned. Also, I find that when you're using a sat-nav, you don't really know where you are in relation to anywhere else. You're just blindly following this sat-nav and hoping it takes you the correct way. Whereas if you learn to read a map, or you consciously work out where you're going, you then sort of learn how all these different roads connect up to each other, and then you become better at navigating yourself. And like, someone will give you an address, you look up where it is, and then you go, ah yes, down this road, along that one, up there, around there, that junction, up this road, whatnot. And you start building it up, your own little sat-nav. It takes a little bit of time to work this, for your brain to adapt and get used to this, especially if you're not used to driving long distances. But your mental map will slowly grow and expand and get more and more detailed. Like, I can pretty much now navigate anywhere in the south of the UK without needing a map or a sat-nav, because I pretty much know all of the major roads now. It's a little bit less so up north, but it's getting better since I've stopped doing supermarket work, because I drive up north now a lot more than I did. So my map for the north of the UK is slowly increasing more and more, and it's just so much better and more reliable, because your brain doesn't suddenly fail at the last very moment like this one very annoyingly did. So there you go. There, top tips, or 10 tips, or 8 tips and 2 warnings. Get rid of you, don't need you anymore. That was that. So, that's my break doing. 6 more minutes. Good. I'm going to say goodbye and then crack on. So, until now. So until next time, see you then!